Hey everybody,
Hey guys,
I'm Tim.
and I'm Joe, and
This is our once in a while retro takeout podcasty type thing.
yeah, so we're here to celebrate National Retro Video Game Day, like we do every year, on March 8th, and this last year's been kind of weird for us, and we apologize for that. We haven't been putting out a lot of content, but we wanted to get our anniversary video out for you guys. Um, it is the Legend of Zelda's 35th anniversary, which is kind of a big deal for us. I'm a huge Zelda fan. I mean, everybody knows that. And we thought, what better way to do that than do some fishing?
Yeah, I'm a rather large Zelda fan, so I'm gonna go with you're definitely a bigger Zelda fan than me, but I'm right up there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Zelda as a franchise has really revolutionized the open world gaming. Like without, you know, certain Zelda titles and certain adaptations, you wouldn't have other games and other titles because it pioneered that genre of gameplay.
So one of the things with Zelda that we're definitely gonna embrace, especially in this specific episode, is there's lots of playability of Zelda and different things, and with it being open world, it takes quite a long time to get or do anything. So, coming up with the highlights, we thought, well, we could do some clips, but clips of us playing, you know, can get dicey because we're not like perfect when we're trying to do these. We're trying to put out to have content, so for us to record something that's perfect would take quite a long time. But one of the things that's always been fun in Zelda is the mini games, and one of the things that you can do is fish. And what do you do on a fishing trip? You get to talk with everybody. So Joe and I figured that we would take a little fishing trip with you, our audience, and we're just going to do some light fishing and talk about the last 35 years of Zelda.
So yeah, I mean, just briefly touching on fishing in Zelda games. It did start in Link's Awakening in '93. It was the first Zelda game where you could fish. You had a fishing hole, and that's what we're doing right now. We're in Ocarina of Time because I feel like it's the best slash.
This is
most
the first
exciting.
one that I honestly remember fishing in.
Yeah.
I know that you said that you could fish in Link to the Past. I've
Link,
100%ed that game, and I don't honestly remember fishing.
Link's Awakening. Link to the Past had no fishing game.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first
The
one
Game
was
Boy one.
correct. Yeah, and it was
Oh, okay.
it was tough because it was. I mean, you literally were in the fish tank. Like it was the side view. You dropped your lure down. It was, but again, it was the Game Boy. Like for its time, it was way beyond where it needed to be. And then obviously the second one was Ocarina of Time, like we're playing right now in '96.
Yep.
Um,
Sorry, I get my Zelda titles confused because they all sound so similar.
Yeah, they tried to make them too fantasy, and a lot of them had a lot of similar aspects. Their title, subtitles to them, and of course the Japanese are all way different, which is why as Americans, you know, we didn't have all the best titles, but Twilight Princess in 2006 had a really interesting fishing minigame. You could fish in the boat, where we're fishing in the boat and the canoe. That was pretty cool. Phantom Hourglass in 2000. Majora's Mask. Actually, Majora's Mask was 99, but going back to handheld again, Phantom Hourglass on the on the DS, it was pretty good. And that rounded it out. Like there wasn't a ton of fishing minigames in the Zelda series, but it was cool. And
Okay, so overall, you know, with it being the 35th anniversary, what things are you looking for to come from the Zelda franchise this coming year? What sells your 35th anniversary for Zelda?
well, it seems like every time they have some type of anniversary, they always come out with an HD remake or a remake, and they have been for years. And I always
That one was just announced.
Yeah.
Skyward Sword is going to be coming out.
Yep, they're doing more peripherals, and I feel like every time they come out with an anniversary, I always wind up getting the special edition and the new peripheral and because I absolutely love having Zelda stuff. in
Sure.
my
So,
collection.
but you as a game collector, and as specifically a Zelda collector,
Yeah.
what 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 makes your 35th anniversary for Legend of Zelda? Like, what's the game that you're looking for?
Oh,
If you're having all these remakes, no, not like you specifically. Not I'm gonna buy anything that comes out because it has Zelda on it, but you as a collector, what's something that you would truly like to see come out of this anniversary? So I know a lot of fans weren't super pumped to see a remake of Skyward Sword, not only because of the price tag, but it wasn't that great of a game to begin with. I'm a little more optimistic about it because I don't necessarily think that we needed another remake of Ocarina of Time for the Switch because it has been on other platforms.
Yeah.
I think it was on 3DS also. That
It
was
was.
the HD version, so there
Yep.
is an HD version out there.
But it's on a smaller. I mean, it's on a smaller screen, but I mean, technically the Switch would be if you handhelded that too. But you could dock the Switch, which puts it back on your screen in HD.
Sure. So that's where I bring this question to you, the ultimate Zelda fan.
Huh.
What do you want to see come out of here? So we already got one. What else are you looking for?
So-
Is this the year that we get Breath of the Wild? Is this the year that we get the rumors of, say, like a Dungeon Maker? Do you want to see remakes of any other games that could possibly be updated?
Oh, yeah.
See another game that's similar to the Link's Awakening update that they could do with a different game like that. Like, I mean, the Link's Awakening that they did for Switch was more than just a regular upgrade. It was very much a beautiful remastering of the game, and I think that some of these older ones actually could be built on that same platform, that kind of top-down cartoony platform that they designed for this. And it's the perfect way to play into this a little bit more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, and I think that opens the door because the Switch it's a gaming console in your home, but it's also on the go. So it really is, it's your N64, it's your Game Boy. It can be both, and I feel like they remade and remastered, as you said, they redid, Link's Awakening, and that was the original Game Boy handheld game. So you could handheld your Switch and feel like you were, back in 1993 again. And I feel like the Oracle's games, Minish Cap, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks, they could do, any of the handheld ports onto the Switch.
So do you want to see more remastering of handheld ports, or do you want to see updates of console games?
See, now, I like that because I mean, the first ones they redid on the Wii U. So you got they did Wind Waker HD was the big thing, and then they came out. They had the Zelda Wii U, which of course I have, and that was cool and all, but it wasn't until Twilight Princess HD came out for the Wii U that it stopped looking so dark and grainy. It actually had some definition to it. Now they're doing Skyward Sword HD for the Switch coming off of the Wii. Mm-hmm. So, you keep going from console to console. So I mean this would be the first HD remake for the Switch coming off of the Wii U, because that's what the last two HD remakes were on the Wii U, which visually was good, but other than having the gamepad, the gigantic Switch in your hands, it's kind of what it was. Like, I feel like the door is wide open for them to make and remake all of these games again for your nostalgics, for your hardcore gamers, for people just looking to have a game on the go. I mean, they have the digital versions, they have the carts. You can, it's way easier to get and upgrade your Zelda collection in either a digital or a semi-digital form that you can take on the go or play at home, on your console. So I mean, they're making it way too easy for themselves to, I don't know, rake in the money. But I mean, it brings back the nostalgia factor too. So I mean, as a collector and as a gamer and as a Zelda fanatic, I mean, I feel like, I mean, I would want to see them, remake all the games of the past, so it would be easier and more accessible to play them.
Well, I think right now they already have some of those that are more easy and accessible. So the Nintendo ones are on the Nintendo Store. The Super Nintendo Link to the Past is on the Super Nintendo Online.
Yep.
We have this new version of Link's Awakening. So I mean, they're doing a lot more. I'm really curious if they end up actually holding off on Ocarina of Time because it's on the other platforms to do maybe an N64 online.
Which
that may come out with like the Switch Pro that could end up coming out in the next year or so.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that's a very real possibility. Is they had the NES online, they've got the SNES online, N64 online would just be the next, iteration of that.
Yeah,
for the Switch.
I think it would either be that or Game Boy Advance could also be a very interesting move for them to do. That might involve updating a little bit more libraries. I know a lot of the platforms right now for the Game Boy games, they added color to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Especially once they started making like the Super Game Boy, they were adding that in there. But that could also be an interesting choice to go with for the next online.
Yeah, but also when they came out with the 3D All-Stars collection for Mario, a lot of people were speculating to doing basically the 3D Zeldas on a cart. So you would have Wind Waker, you'd have Ocarina of Time, and you'd have Twilight Princess, on one cart.
Which that's still a possibility.
Yeah, as I said, like a lot of people have been talking about that. I mean, the rumor mills are really trucking it out. It is all the talk. I mean, last year was all about Mario. This year's all about Zelda. That's just how Nintendo rolls. I mean, that's just how it happened. I mean, the game in itself, started it all. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is they were two completely different games, equally both, amazing in their own right. Open world, exploration versus, side-scrolling, amazingness. Like, it just, depends on, if you're a Mario guy or you're a Zelda guy. Like, it's just...
Sure.
Yeah.
So what's your... This is always the hot topic. I'm still going to try and hit it. What are your top, say, 5 Zelda games?
Oh, I hate when you do that.
Well, it's naturally. This is what I'm always going to do, is have the top 5.
And I hate...
I know not everybody has a top 5 ready to go offhand.
I hate ranking them, because then everybody at least...
well, it's not a rank. It's what are your 5 ones that you really like to play. They can be in any order.
Okay, so in no particular order, I'm a really big fan of Link's Awakening, especially the remake. It's beautiful. It feels like a different game. Just because, I mean, they moved a few of the seashells around, and then you got Dampy with the Dungeon Creator quest, which, as I said before, Legend of Zelda Maker, kind of like Super Mario Maker, is totally a real possibility. Like, you could make your own dungeons. Like, I'm waiting for them to pull the trigger on that, because, I mean, Mario Maker 2 has been out for how long, and why they haven't made a Zelda Maker, having the update in the game, it was such a tease. You can basically make any Zelda game level in Mario Maker with Link. Why they don't just make his own game, I don't understand. That being said, so Link's Awakening, got to go to my OG Ocarina of Time. I will always regard it as the best Zelda game, and probably the best game of all time. It's such an amazing game. I loved Breath of the Wild's openness. It felt like a lot, though. It was a lot because it was so much more different. I think they tried too hard to make it piecewise and make it more manageable without the dungeons and just the shrines, and then the beasts were the dungeons, but
they weren't.
But like I said, at the same time, it was such a beautiful game. It was such a big game. You could play for 20 hours and just barely scratch the surface of that game. I mean, the game's been out since 2017, and people are still finding hacks and cheats and just different things that you can do in the game, after all these years. I mean, it was the launch title for the Switch, and I feel like if they were to come out with a pro model, the Breath of the Wild 2 or sequel or whatever they call it is going to be the launch title for
Breath of the Wild Legend continues.
Exactly. Basically, well, yeah. I mean, we're gonna get the game. I mean, they've already teased that it's gonna come out at the end of this year,
Sure.
probably right around holiday season. Because I mean, why not make the most money you can? But I've heard rumors that they're coming out with a new Switch for it. I mean, that there's nothing confirmed with that. What is confirmed is there's those new Joy-Cons that are going to be with Skyward Sword, which is July release, which is ironic because they normally always put out a Zelda game or rendition right around Zelda's anniversary toward the end of theirs / the beginning of March, which is always when my birthday is. So I always have a birthday present to myself. Is always so I always pick up the next Zelda thing around my birthday. But not this year. I mean, it's everything's been teased, but no, I get so excited talking about Zelda, and I mean, what are we gonna do in 5 years? What are we gonna do in 10 years? I mean, it's for the 40th, the 50th. I mean, we could go 60, 80, 100 years. I mean, it's like anything else. Gaming has never seen anything like this because back in '85, Mario did it. In '86, Zelda did it. I mean, it's where our roots came from. It's where all modern game came from. That's what's so great about being a retro gamer is, any game that you play today came from a game of the past. Like I know that sounds, a little linear, but without those risk takers and without, the gaming crash, we wouldn't have any of this today.
Well, yeah, and I mean, the crazy part is now, even the game that we're looking at now, that to us still feels very, very new. This game's, 20 years old at this point, which is pretty crazy.
Well, I mean, yeah, almost 25, because like I said, you figure
Yeah.
98 for the first 3D Zelda, and I mean, this one pioneered so much on itself. I mean, it was one of the first, obviously Mario 64, but this one actually.
Well, I mean, this is what brought Zelda into the 3D world, and the Nintendo 64 itself was trying to do the 3D world. It was a main 3D push all of a sudden, and I think it kind of split Zelda fans as to the top-down people and the 3D people. I like a blend of both. There's some that I really like. There's others that I don't. Same with the handhelds versus the console stuff.
And that's the thing is everyone's gonna, you'll get most retro gamers are gonna argue that it's either Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past. Those are always gonna be the big two. But I also feel
I think that's a fair argument, though. Those are pretty peaking Zelda games. I think realistically, I really like the story of Ocarina. Probably the story of Ocarina is one of the best stories out there. The graphics now definitely are really looking more and more dated.
Yeah, they are. But that's what they have.
And I'm not necessarily looking of a 3D or of a HD remake of something. I almost want it I would like to see how this game would play in the Breath of the Wild.
Like an Unreal Engine?
A different engine.
Well,
or even just like the Twilight Princess engine of could you imagine this game actually redrawn, cleaned up,
Oh yeah.
It's so much smoother. This game would be killer.
Well, that's what I said. That's why I liked is you a lot of people hate on the cell shading from Wind Waker, but as cartoony and as childish as it was its own game.
It aged better.
It did. It really did. And I love how it's so unique of a game. I mean, all the Game Boy titles basically all had to be the same. I mean, they were a square sprite that walked across the screen and then transitioned. It just had to be that way just because of the limitations of the hardware. Your consoles are going to be not really better games, but they're going to be more fleshed out games, whereas the handhelds needed to rely on that story so much more because they couldn't be as inventive with their graphics. But
Sure.
but you look at A Link to the Past, and you have day, or the light world and the dark world. So you almost had 2 full games in one game, and that was cool. And obviously, A Link Between Worlds is set in the same generation. It's just generations later in the same world. So you have Hyrule and Low and just the way that they transition between it, very similar. It was a great homage to A Link to the Past, and I mean, I really enjoyed A Link Between Worlds. But then, like I said, they had such different kind of games. There was the Four Swords and things like that. Like Four Swords Adventure. Was it really a game, or was it just kind of an activity? And then they have all the spin-offs, and right now everybody's talking about the Destiny's games, and Age of Calamity looks really good. It's probably their best one. I mean, obviously they had the Zelda team on that, which made it better. But is it a Zelda game? Does it count? And that's something that we can discuss in the comments, and tell us what you think. I mean, we're open to a lot of get the ball rolling. Get excited, get revved up about 35 years of Zelda. So. That being said, this has been a really neat and different way to approach National Retro Video Game Day. We just felt like playing it easy and playing it low and doing some fishing.
Yeah. So everybody out there, we hope that you're staying safe, stay protected, and I'm sure you're all enjoying this time playing games.
Yeah, that's pretty much all we've been doing, is just playing games and staying safe. So we're going to make our best effort to get out some more content for you this year. I know we said it last video, but stuff happened, and we're really sorry for that. But, we got, life goes on. So, all
right. So from all of us here at Retrotakeout, we just want to say thank you for another wonderful year, and we are looking forward to the future. So have a good week, or have a good year, everybody, and we'll keep in touch.
Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.